fix this mic a bit? It's a little
go for
high for me.
You know, I'm gonna do the same thing. Last episode, I noticed we were like kind of a little bit covered by our microphones, and I kind of felt bad.
Yeah, no, I don't mind covering my face. People don't want to look at that anyway, but you know what I mean?
Come on, man.
It's not that bad.
Yeah.
It's better than most, you know. At least, you know, I'm not the elephant man.
Could always be worse. We're taking a Tuesday off.
Hello, welcome back.
We're just chilling. This is just us.
It's just us this time.
Yeah, we're not doing a whole lot. Well, we've had Yeah.
But other than that, it's been pretty chill.
It's been nice. You know, we're just kind of like chilling, hanging out.
Yeah. I know we don't get a lot of serious on this channel, but I've had some revelations in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool. Like pretty cool.
It's nice too because like we're not like, it's not like we're doing this just because of work. It's
yeah.
like we're having fun as we do it, but it is also like kind of the productive aspect of it.
Like it feels like a job, but it's because we're hanging out like friends and it doesn't feel like a job.
Yeah, exactly. It's like when you work with your friends, and it's like work becomes a little bit easier when you have people that you can just kind of like dig around with every once in a while.
Right, and they understand that you're not trying to be unproductive, that you're just trying to do your job in a more fun and efficient way.
It's not that you're like not wanting to be their friend. It's like you have shit to do.
Yeah,
but also like we're gonna joke around a little bit.
Yeah, like you know, like when you need to get a podcast rolling and your friend's in his kitchen just having a good conversation with some good friends, and you're like, "Hey, man, what's up?
Are you okay? Are you I know you're
honestly
talking.
All right, not gonna lie, I'm a little intoxicated. That's why we don't have alcohol this round. Is because we're already a little drunk. We've already been drinking.
We've done a thing for Clyde's channel. It involves alcohol.
Yeah,
that's all I'm gonna say.
That's all we're gonna say until I promote it myself.
Yeah,
but
hold
because of that,
hold on. Cheers,
mate. It doesn't make the same kind of clinking sound. There you go.
Oh, that was nice.
Delicious.
I've never had this before. Oh, I don't know.
You don't like it?
You know what? It's not that bad.
Yeah. Oh, you want to hit me?
Bit out of the what's up?
Hit me with the other drink I had earlier.
Oh yeah.
It's a little more hydratey than what I'm drinking right now, plus the water. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish this off right here.
Yeah, go for it.
So anyway, so I have a question that you can answer before I drink this.
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So, what you would think the most embarrassing thing you did looking back at yourself as a child under the age of 18? You can pick any range. You can pick like when you were 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way up to 18. But pick your most, in your mind, embarrassing moment and tell me about it, and I will tell you about mine.
Okay. Off the top of the dome, there's two things that come to mind. One of them, ouch. When I was in high school, I dated a girl that was just we had a very unstable relationship. And like it sucked, and everyone kind of knew that we were not meant to be together. But we were like, we're gonna try to stay together, and it just was not good. The other one is actually, interestingly enough, it's the first memory that I have, and I remember seeing video proof of it. But at the same time, my memory's not great, and my mom says that it's not true. But I have memory that I was like looking through the cabinets on like the floor, you know, like in a kitchen.
Yeah.
You know, like under the sink and that kind of stuff, and I was like digging through that. And my mom like came out with a video camera because she wanted to see, you know, like little like, you know, baby child stuff. And she was like, Teller Morose, because we don't use real names. She's like, what are you doing? And then I just broke down into tears. And it's like, it's not embarrassing necessarily because I was a fucking like child toddler.
You were probably doing something you thought you shouldn't have been doing.
Yeah, exactly. But then I just remember like I just heard her voice of like, hey, what are you doing? And I just like immediately cried, like freaked out, just like
I got caught doing what I wasn't supposed to be doing,
which is dumb because I was just like shuffling around a bunch of dishwashing shit, you know, like.
I mean, you didn't eat any of it, so that's a bonus.
Yeah. I can't say the most embarrassing. I mean, not because I don't want to say it, just because I can't think of a really good one. A lot of it has to do with like medical issue stuff, and I don't think that really counts because looking back, it's like it was embarrassing at the time, but that was because I was either a shitty teenager who couldn't grasp medical deficiencies, or you know, I was younger than that. In which case, it's like, yeah, I was kind of a dumb kid sometimes.
Yeah, no, I get that. Honestly, though, I would say my most embarrassing moment would be like I would say when I was in middle school, I was kind of the weird kid, and I'm not gonna lie, I did an inappropriate act in public in school, and did not get caught, but I stopped before I got caught because people were looking, and I was like, maybe I shouldn't do this in public. Well, that's the most embarrassing memory I have, is the memory that there's some people out there who probably saw me jerking it in a classroom, and they don't know because I pretended like I was just cold.
Okay.
That's about as far as I get with. I mean, I have other embarrassing things that happen in my life. That's the most embarrassing thing.
Yeah.
Because that was like, I look back on that and I go, oh my God, I really wish I knew that was wrong.
Right.
Because I would have never done it.
What about the most physically painful thing of before you were 18?
Before I was 18?
Yeah.
Most physically painful thing I had before I was 18, probably, it's not a fun story.
Oh, no, I don't think any of them are going to be
No,
fun.
it's not a fun story at all. But I would say it was when I was about 7 or 8. I was at my cousin's house, and I was spending the night at my cousin's house, and we were reading Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, the series.
Yeah.
And we got across the Bloody Mary section, and the adult who was hosting the kids' sleepover, who was an avid bully of mine, decided that we should play Bloody Mary. A bunch of us kids playing Bloody Mary, and the adult watching and laughing because they know it's not real. Well, all of us kids with vivid imaginations, we drew straws to see who would go first.
Okay.
I drew the short straw, so I got to go first.
Mm-hmm.
So I went first, but I was trying to chicken out the whole time.
Right.
Like, I got in the bathroom, they turned off the light, there was absolutely no light in this bathroom, and they shut the door behind me, and they wouldn't let me out until I did the Bloody Mary thing.
Yeah.
But instead of doing that, I literally screamed and cried until they let me out. And when they let me out, the adult's punishment to me was to make me sleep outside. So I was thrown out of the house, essentially. Not actually physically thrown out, but they did kick me out of the house.
Yeah.
And I was forced to stay on the front porch, where the only thing they gave me was a beanbag chair and a blanket. So at least I had some comfort. But because I kept crying, they took away the beanbag chair.
I would be making some phone calls about that one.
The thing was, I thought adults knew better than that, than to hurt a child on purpose or anything like that. So I didn't know. But the reason it became like my most physically hurting thing is because of what it did to me psychologically.
Yeah.
In the future, rather than what it did in the moment. Because in the moment, while it was scary and it hurt, like feeling like abandoned and stuff to the scary outside world of nighttime in the middle of fucking nowhere, because they lived in the farm areas. Mm-hmm. I was so tempted to walk home on my own as a child. Like, I was already contemplating walking to my house, which was well over an hour away driving wise.
Right.
So not only that though, like, there was a van in the yard. And I was a smart kid. I wasn't stupid.
Yeah.
So I was like, I know what I'm going to do. The van's unlocked. So I went up to their car. I made sure the door was unlocked. Mm-hmm. I got inside. I locked it behind me, and I was going to sleep in the car. Because, that's smart, finding shelter to survive the night in.
Yeah.
The only thing that wasn't smart is locking yourself in a car overnight, because you would suffocate eventually.
Yeah.
While it started out cold, it did get precedingly hot as it happened. But the adult, unbeknownst to me, was trying to sneak out the back door, come around and scare me from outside because I was already so spooked. Yeah. Problem was, they came around, didn't see me on the porch anymore, didn't know where I was, panicked, and then found me in the car. But I wouldn't let them in the car because they'd already done things prior to this that had made me not trust them enough to let them in the car.
Yeah.
So I played a game of keep the door locked while they try to unlock it with the button. Yeah. So they were like, deet, and I'm like, deet,
right.
Over and over again. It happened for a good while. But then after they got me out the car eventually, because it happened, they got me out. They made me get on the porch, and they made me stay there. And then they got to do their little trick where they went around the backside, and they came out, and they scared me. And then they let me go back inside after they had their fun.
Okay.
So physically pain, not a whole lot of physical pain, but the psychological damage that happened because of it was a lot worse.
Yeah.
And it's one of the things that haunted me for most of my life.
Yeah.
And it haunted me so much that when they tried to do the same thing again, I caught them trying to do it because we were going to camp outside, had a tent. Me and one of my cousins decided to camp in the tent. We were going to sneak back inside because no one else wanted to do the tent thing. We had set it up. So the adult was like, well, you set it up, you're going to have to stay in it. Yeah. And we were like, well, how come no one else has to, even though we all planned to do it?
Right.
Why do only me and him have to do it? So we tried to sneak back inside. They let him back inside because he's, full blood related, and I'm only the cousin. Right. Let him back inside. They tried to do the whole thing where they come around the side of the house and scare me because I had heard previous stories that there are wild boars out in that area and they eat people and shit. So that was another fear that they tried instilling on me. But I caught them in the act. When I saw them walking up the side of the house, I yelled, "Ha! Got you!" And they got mad at me and tried to punish me for it by making me actually sleep outside in the tent. At least there was a tent this time. Didn't work, though, because one of the family friends showed up around the same time, saw that I was being bullied and abused, and made the adults stop, let me go inside and sleep on the couch away from everyone else.
Right.
And as the adults argued outside on the front porch about it, the adult who bullied me came back inside, gave a good look at me, and I pretended to look like I was asleep, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I was staring right at her, and she was like, "I hope you're happy, you little shit." And the other adult, I was really grateful for a long time until I found out she was just as bad and did something similar to her own kids herself, but she didn't do it to other people's children. So that was pretty much a majority of my childhood was dealing with adults like that. That was the most painful shit in my life before 18.
Man, I was trying to think of like a fun question, and now I just feel bad.
What about you, though? Is there anything like that physically hurts you or mentally hurts you enough that, you are where you are today before 18?
Dude, I anything before I was 18 that was like a mental pain, I have blocked that shit. Unhealthy as all hell, but
I let all of mine come back, which is why I see therapy, which is good to see. If you want a therapist, you think you need one, see one. They're not going to hurt you. They're only there to help, and they're completely non-biased. And if you really look, you can find some for really cheap. I only pay $75 for an hour session. And that's really, like, someone would think that's hard to find, but it's not. You can go online to find them.
Also, if you don't think you need therapy, see a therapist anyway.
Try it out.
Might get something out of it that you wouldn't expect to.
Right. They give great advice along all kinds of problems. Like, if you just can't figure out why you're doing a thing that you're doing, they might know the answer.
Yeah.
Like, I had plenty of times that happen. But what other pain? What kind of pain did you feel before 18?
Physical, I can think of two right off the top of my head, and I was thinking about this earlier today. I'll go in chronological order of my age.
Okay.
So when I was probably 8 or 9, I didn't realize the severity of this, and also it isn't quite as painful as you would imagine. I broke pretty sure all 8 of my fingers.
Wow.
Yeah, I was on some sort of playground bullshit. Just climb up the thing and do the other shit, and I stumbled and fell off of the thing, and I was trying to get my hands out to catch myself, but I landed like this.
Oh.
And yeah, that's why all of my fingers are pretty fucking crooked if you look real carefully. It's like I said, it's really not as bad. I remember being in pain, but I remember crying through the adrenaline, and then whatever the fuck they did to make myself feel better after that. I had the little, I don't know if you've seen, it's like basically popsicle sticks that go over your fingers.
No, I know. I smashed my finger and had to deal with that recently.
Yeah.
So like.
Oh yeah, I was wondering about that, by the way.
Yeah, no, I smashed it at one of my jobs, which is how I lost it, because apparently CBD can be picked up as THC in some places.
Yeah.
So it didn't go well for me. They fired me on the spot because of it. But I got another job that wouldn't fire me for the CBD aspect, which is nice.
Solid. The other one I remember a lot more consciously. I was in, I want to say 10th grade. I was in 10th grade.
Okay.
Excuse me. I was in 10th grade, and at the time I was really into like BMX shit, like on bicycles doing cool tricks.
Yeah.
You might remember this. I don't know if we were actually good friends at this point in high school or not, but I was really into that. And a neighbor of mine, a guy who lived in the same subdivision as me, he was like, "Hey man, I got a BMX ramp in my backyard. Do you want to come like fucking ride over it and do tricks and shit?" And I was like, "Yeah, man, totally." And I got there, and it was a fucking plank of wood on a really thick ass like dually tire for a truck, and it was just like that was the ramp. I was like, "Not a ramp," and he's like, "So you're not gonna go up it?" And I was like, "Oh, I'll still go up it," because I was trying to be like tough guy, and went off of it and immediately hurt myself because it was not built right, and also I really had never been up a ramp on a bike before, and I kind of landed like crooked a little bit, and that was enough for me to like not balance my weight, and I fell, and I ended up hitting my
Microphone.
I ended up hitting my mic stand and ruined the podcast.
No.
I ended up hitting my right knee against the spokes of my front tire.
Really?
Yeah, and it split my fucking kneecap open.
Wow.
Like, bad. But, I was being, like, tough guy, and, the guy that I was in the backyard of, he was the same age as me, probably a little bit older, I think, but he was like, "Do you want me to, like, take you home in a car or a golf cart or something so that you're not, like, walking home?" And I was like, no, I'm cool, I'll walk home. And, like, blood going down my leg and all this shit, and I walked home, and I was like, "Hey, Mom, like, I really hurt my knee, and I'm just gonna, like, go to sleep because I'm in a lot of pain." And my mom was like, "Okay," like, whatever. And then I tried taking a shower, and I couldn't because it hurt so fucking bad. And then I walked back downstairs. I was like, "Mom, will you take a look at this?" And she's like, "Yeah, sure." And I showed her my knee, and she like almost fucking passed out from how bad it looked.
Oh my god!
I still ended up going to school
lady.
for the yeah. No, she had a full blown fucking panic attack.
Oh my god!
God bless her for that. She was like, "We're gonna take you to a fucking hospital." I still ended up going to school the next morning though, and I was there for about 20 minutes, and it was funny at the time because I was like limping to class to get to my first period class, and my friends were like, "Oh, you got that pimp limp," and I'm like, "Nah, I just really fucking hurt myself." I was in class for about 10 minutes before the front office of the school called and said we need him to go, fucking leave. And all my friends were like, "Why are you leaving?" And I'm like, "Oh, I just got a thing." And I'm like limping out of the fucking room. And I went to an immediate care facility nearby, and I got 8 stitches put into my knee. And that part hurt, but it was nowhere near as bad as getting your wound cleaned with iodine.
Oh god!
Because it burned,
yes.
and there was like dirt and shit in my knee still. So he's like rubbing my fucking bone. If you're queasy, I'm sorry. Like you're gonna deal with this. I'll put a quease warning or something. He's like rubbing my fucking bone down hard as fuck with this cloth of iodine, and it burns and it hurts, and I can feel him touching my bone, and it's weird as shit. And I ended up getting 8 stitches, and that shit sucked for quite some time. I still have like a purple spot on the middle of my kneecap.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it's like it's still fucking there to some extent because
wow.
I think blood kind of rose up a little bit, and I can't go back down at this point or something. I don't know.
I have no idea either.
Quease warning either, or quease warning.
Quease warning over.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Had to help you through it.
And it was funny because while all that was happening, when I was in the immediate care, my mom was in the same room, to make sure like nothing bad happened to me. I guess I was 15 or whatever, and I remember my mom like watching what was happening, and then she was like, "I think I'm gonna pass out." And then all the nurses like turned around and they're like, sit on the floor, it's gonna be okay. Do you want some water?" Like tending to my mom, and I'm sitting there with a fucking hole in my goddamn knee. Like, what? Turn back around, you fucking losers! Like,
well, because you're on the table. They already got you. They already know you're good. You're secure. They know you're not going anywhere.
I guess if I pass out, like nothing, I'm not.
If you pass out, you're not gonna hurt yourself. If she passed out standing up, she would have gotten
she was sitting in a chair. But you're right.
A concussion. Anything like that could have happened. She could have fallen out of the chair.
I just remember being like, being a 15-year-old angsty teenager me was just like, why the fuck are you tending to my mom? There's a hole in my knee. Like fucking angry as shit about it.
Like, bruh, dude, you're not even done yet.
Yeah, it's like, fucking look at this shit.
That's funny as hell.
The cleaning process and the actual stitches themselves were pretty fucking bad.
Although I would say that like out of bike wrecks, I've had one really unique bike wreck, and that was I would say it was a standard mountain bike, handlebar brakes, of course. And we found out that if you go down a hill and hit the brakes just right, that you could drift.
Okay.
Depending on the bike.
Yeah.
But you had to hit both brakes at the same time to drift, or the rear brake at least.
Yeah.
Thing was, I didn't know which one was the rear or the front brake at the time.
Yep.
So
Classic.
as I was going down the hill, in my yard. I grab the wrong brake. My front tire stops. I go up. I hit a full 180 in the air where I'm completely horizontal, and I realize at this point, if I don't let go of the bike, it's going to hurt me more than the ground will.
Right.
So I ditch the bike, throw it to the side, and I fell to the ground, and it didn't hurt that bad. That wasn't a major injury, but it was like I learned a lesson that day.
Yeah.
Learn which brake goes where before you do tricks, because
Also,
it fucked me up.
Yeah. Also, any like bicycle, skateboard, scooter, any of that shit, it's like you have to learn get away from the thing. You know,
Get away from it. It always will hurt you more than
Yeah.
if you getting away from it.
it's like road rash sucks, but like if you get a fucking broken bone off of like landing on your fucking or a hole in your knee from landing on fucking metal spokes.
Or ripping your gooch open by landing on the middle of your broken board after a grind.
Yeah. Fuck that video.
Dude, that video was so rough, man. I remember when Tosh.0 covered that video. God, that was such a bad thing.
I'm gonna.
And he was like, my gooch!
Yeah.
And then Tosh.0 was like, what the fuck's a gooch? And he had to Google it for everyone on national television and put the definition up for everyone. Like,
Yep.
what? Oh, it's the thing between your balls and your butt crack.
yep.
Okay, that little line. That's a gooch. Okay.
God. I was gonna make a joke and say I'm gonna put a link to that and also Goatsy in the description, but I'm not doing that.
No, don't do that, please. If you like gory videos or like watching people suffer in pain, yeah, go look it up. Go look up the Gooch video. Gooch skateboard
I'm
wreck.
pretty sure. Yeah, I was gonna say you could
There's
just
probably
find
more
the
than one.
keywords. You'll figure it
Just
out.
look up Gooch skateboard wreck and you'll probably find a bunch of them, because there's one in particular we're talking about, but I know there's more because I've seen a lot of different ones.
Yeah. I was also not physical pain, but just very like awkward medical encounters, I guess. We were talking earlier today about my recent bout with stomach cancer. That was a weird one. I had an ulcer mixed in with the fact that because if I ate, the ulcer would make me feel like I was going to die. So I didn't eat, and then I was starving, but also couldn't eat because of the ulcer. So
It's called a catch-22.
yeah, exactly. It was just, and it got to the point. I wasn't living here at this time. I was still living with my parents,
Yeah.
and like I didn't leave my room for like 2 days, and my parents were like, "You're not even like playing Xbox or anything. Like, what are you doing?" And I was like, "I don't have the energy to go anywhere." And again, God bless my parents for that. You know, they took me to a doctor's appointment, and you know, I was telling them this thing about how like I couldn't go anywhere or do anything because I was too like, you know, I had no energy and I couldn't go anywhere without myself like hurting.
Right.
And then they didn't exactly say, like the doctor was like, okay, we're gonna make you take this test. I don't remember what it's called, some long ass medical word, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, okay, you're gonna breathe into this balloon, and I want you to fill it up as much as you can. And I was like, okay, sure. And after a minute of like struggling to do that, she's like, okay, now we're gonna make you drink some lemonade, and then you're gonna do the same thing in a separate little balloon, and just breathe as hard as you can through this thing, and we'll, you know, test your lungs basically, or you know, whatever the fuck comes out of your system.
Right.
First of all, it was not lemonade. It was fucking like battery acid. Fuck those people for telling me it was lemonade. It was horrible tasting. And I get, you know, they can't make medicine taste good. But, you know, I like almost vomited that shit. And
Oh, I know what test they did on you. Okay.
you have to like breathe through that little like metal thing.
Yeah,
and it's-
no, and then they make you drink the liquid because that way they can analyze it better. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I know what the fuck. I've heard about that test.
Yeah.
I never had it, but I've heard about it.
Yeah. But it was funny because like it was a separate nurse that was doing like anyone, like whenever I go and get like blood work done or anything like that, it's a different nurse than the person that checks on me or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so she was explaining all of it to me, and then we did the test with another nurse. And she was like, okay, you know, we'll get the results back in about 5 days. We'll let you know whether or not you have cancer. I was like, excuse the fuck out of me? Like, what the fuck did you just
Whoa.
say? Because, the other nurse was trying to be, like, really gentle about it and not tell me, she's like, you might have an ulcer. And it's like, no, this ulcer might cause cancer. Or it might be the same symptoms and shit as cancer. And I was just like, hey, nurse number 2, what? Please help.
Wait, hold on. What do you mean cancer? Back up a minute. I'm how old now and you're telling me this?
Yeah. It's like freaking the fuck out. And, it turns out I did have the ulcer, and obviously I didn't have cancer otherwise.
Luckily.
Thank whoever above or below that I need to fucking thank for that, because Jesus.
Well,
apparently it's him.
Right.
Jesus is just the name in vain I use, or the name as a
adjective.
Yeah. Adverb. We don't grammar here.
I don't know grammar unless I'm writing.
Yeah, it's like when I write shit down, it's perfectly.
Yeah, right. When I write shit down, the only thing I get wrong is sometimes I'll misuse. Well, you remember when they're like remove the Y, add an IES at the end?
Oh,
sometimes I'll use a word with IES rather than apostrophe S whenever it's supposed to be an ownage thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had a debate with some family members online. I won't talk about what it was about, but the only thing they had against me was that I misspelled humanities with an IES rather than apostrophe S. So let's just put it that way. That's the only thing they can call me stupid on, is misspelling one word, while I called them stupid on multiple different points. But just saying, they think they won, and that's fine by them. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just going to feel like I won because I know I'm better a little bit.
Fuck them.
No, they're family. I can't do that.
Ignore them.
Ignore them.
It doesn't have the same ring to it.
See, I wish I could sometimes. Sometimes I wish I just could ignore them. But, like, it's just that, that side of the family that just, they're, like, so backwards in their way of thinking. You're like, I have to say something or no one else will.
Yeah.
I'm that guy. I'm the guy that's like, I have to say something.
Oh, 100%.
And this time, I happen to be the guy that was like, I'm tired of being the only guy saying something. I'm going to call them names instead of giving them more valid points. So instead of being respectful, as they put it, I just called them dumbasses in my first post. And it wasn't meant to be harmful at first, because at first I was just... Because I call my friends dumbass when they don't research a topic that's obvious, right?
Yeah.
Like, you look at something, let's make a vague example. Let's say you look at a trumpet and you call it a trombone. Right?
I mean, I ain't that dumb, but I can see. Yeah.
Right. So I'd be like, that's kind of stupid that you would compare the two as the same instrument.
That's a trombone, dumbass.
Right.
Or it is a trumpet, but
it's like, you're a dumbass, Yeah. Obviously, it's not that hard to look up.
Yeah.
But then, they were just butthurt at the fact that they were dumb enough not to look it up themselves to know the right answer, that they decided that I was, in the wrong 100%, and they just felt butthurt instead of seeing the light in my humor.
Yeah.
But I also don't blame them, because they haven't talked to me in a long time, and they're older. They're like the older generation who doesn't understand that when you say a swear, it doesn't automatically mean you're being rude.
Right.
It's kind of like our younger generation, I'll put it this way, is a lot less sensitive to swears.
Yeah.
Because we're like, why does it matter? It's just a word.
Yeah.
So, like, dumbass, cunt, slut, all of those words are...
I think every episode of Take a Tuesday Off, I've said fuck them without, like, any... It's not like
really
I'm being mean. It's just going to, all right, like,
It's like, whatever. Yeah. I don't want to deal with it. That's what it means.
Yeah.
Fuck them. I don't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
It's not like, when I call you dumbass, it just means don't be stupid.
Yeah.
It's not like you're a dumbass. It means, well, that was obvious. Why are you being stupid in this one moment?
And I can understand, like, there are some words that people say, and I'm kind of like, ow. Like, not, like, super offended, but it's just like, okay, like, especially if it's something that's not common for people to say.
Right.
Like, if I called you, like, shithead, it's like, that's not a very, like, normal thing for me to say. So it's just kind of like, hypothetically, if I said that to someone, they might be a little bit like,
well, he's never said that before.
Yeah, it's like that's not characteristic of him.
Like I said, my family doesn't hear that side of me, though, because most of my family members on that side are like, religious, and you shouldn't swear around the adults. And it's like, but I'm an adult. Why does it matter?
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm not a kid anymore. You guys keep thinking I'm this little toddler that doesn't know anything. Right. But I've grown and learned a lot more. And when I call you this, it's not out of the fact that I'm thinking you're completely stupid. It's that I know you're smarter than that. I know you can think better than that. Mm-hmm. I've seen you guys do it. Why can't you just put in the effort to make sure your factual evidence is factual?
Yeah. It's kind of like
or if your points don't line up and you're making one point that doesn't line up with the other point, then don't make the point because it doesn't matter.
Right.
It doesn't matter to begin with. So why are they on equal terms in your mind when they're obviously two separate points?
Yeah. And I think a big part of it too is I just lost my train of thought.
Woo! Oh, that's a spike.
Hey, I'm sorry about that. Let me.
Sorry, future Taylor, but I didn't do it this
Don't
time.
get that close to the microphone, man. We don't need
Don't
that
do
shit
it.
constantly.
It's all right. That's like the entire episode.
That's why I whispered when I got close, because now it sounds like it's normal, but that other one was whispered. But
Hold on. Welcome to the Take a Tuesday Off ASMR special.
That's right. We're going to sit here and just tap the microphones. I would open this can of soda, but I can't, so I'm just going to click it back and forth for you.
Oh, you want to
Does
see a
that
fun
turn
side
you
effect?
on?
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you want to see a fun side effect of me breaking all 8 of my fingers when I was a child?
I can do that without that.
Oh, that's actually kind of interesting. I didn't know that other people could. It's more fun when. This podcast
It's
is a
okay.
fucking mess. I'm sorry, I just bumped the mic stand again. It's more fun when you put your hands, or I put my hands up against something. It's like you can kind of hear.
okay,
different
see, I can't do
materials.
that. I can't do that.
Yeah.
I can press them against each other and pop them once, but I can't do it.
Yeah.
I can do the knuckles multiple times if I do that, but I can only do these two really.
It kind of feels nice sometimes.
For me, it hurts. I can't do it too
Let me
many
get the
times.
table. Yeah.
Nice.
That's a fun one.
Yeah. Although, do you have any? I want to ask. Do you have any double joints?
I can do that with my finger. I don't know if that counts as a Well, I can do it with all but my pinky apparently.
I can do
I've never
literally.
thought to look at that.
Now I'm double jointed in at least 2 of my fingers
Mm-hmm.
because you can tell by the double lines on my fingers
Yeah.
which ones are double jointed. But the rest of them, you can teach your fingers to do this. It just takes a lot of time and practice.
Yeah.
By pressing your thumb right against it and pressing down and holding the others back with your
I
fingers.
kind of feel it in the rest of my hand when I do it.
I only feel it in my fingers when I do it. Like the rest of my hand's frozen because my fingers are locked up. But like all of my fingers can do it on both hands. This one's still kind of messed up because of that. But I can. And sometimes I'll have to, like, some of them aren't double jointed. Like this one's double, but these ones aren't right here. It's my pinky and my ring that aren't. But the one I'm really impressed with, and I have to pull my sleeve back for this, is my elbow double joint. Because I can turn my elbow without twisting my wrist. All the way up.
Oh. I don't know if I'm doing it or not. Oh,
Yeah.
I just broke something. Jesus.
No, it's like, all I have to do, I don't even have to hold my wrist. It just does it. It's just...
Yeah, I do it, but my hand kind of like lifts up.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I literally have a photo of it. I don't know if I have it anymore, but I used to have a photo of it, of me on a water slide with my arms extended like this, all the way extended, and my elbow was bent
like-
all the way back. Like, I was nearly like a whole 180 all the way back down here.
Jesus.
My arm was all the way down here, and I looked at that photo and thought I broke my arms because it was the second glance. Like, the first glance, you're like, oh, it's a bunch of kids in the photo, one's on a slide with water on it. That's cool. But then if you double take, you're like, what is wrong with that kid's arms? Are they broken? Because my arms are outstretched so far that they're just bent in like an obtuse angle.
You're just on like a BuzzFeed article. It's like 10 photos taken moments before disaster.
Right. They're like, this kid's arms were tragically broken from fucking a falling meteorite.
Yeah.
He called to Earth.
It is kind of creepy to see people like have their joints turn like that, but that's a good transition for we're entering spooky season.
Absolutely. It is the spoopy holidays. If you guys remember from the last episode, I have that thing coming up on Halloween, you know what I mean? And if this happens to be posted after that, well, you might want to go check out Clydosaurus.twitch.tv. You know what I mean?
Twitch.tv/
Clydosaurus.
Clyde_A_Saurus.
Clyde_A_Saurus, and you can check it out because I save all of my live streams. And they're only on Twitch. I don't put them anywhere else.
And if you don't know what we're talking about, go back to the episode with Channel 62. It's already uploaded.
It is already uploaded, and that one has it in there.
And it's at the very start, before we even play the intro music. But also listen to the whole thing because Channel 62 is a really cool guy.
Oh, yeah, he was super awesome. Really great guest.
Yeah. Especially for the first guest, I thought it went surprisingly pretty well.
Honestly, yeah, because he was not only, like, very well, like, presented for himself, he also was a really good storyteller.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like he was just here to promote. He actually told some really nice stories as well.
I honestly don't think we promoted a single thing that he does.
Yeah, because he was just that good at storytelling.
Right. He makes beats. He runs a thing called Camp Sova. Check it out on Instagram.
And
follow the links below.
He's awesome, man. In general, he's just a really cool guy that we got to just hang out with for a couple hours. And
Channel 62, if you ever want to come back, come on back.
You know where we are.
Yeah.
I mean, we love you.
He was a great. He was
awesome,
a great
man.
guest, and he's been a good friend for quite some time.
I just met him once so far, and I already love him.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've known him for quite some time because we ran through the same music business program together in university.
Yeah.
But putting that aside, it's any crazy spooky plans for this month?
I've been working at a haunted house. I ruined my voice for a good chunk of the month because of it, and just haven't gone back because I've been too busy. I love it though because like it's a haunted house. It's like a smaller haunted house, but it's not small. It's an average haunted house.
Yeah,
but it's smaller in the terms of it's newer. Like it's
Gotcha.
been there, but it's moved locations since everyone knew where it was, and now it's in a different place.
not quite as constantly populated with people.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I mean, if you like in the month of October, it's super busy.
Yeah.
But in like the earlier months of like November, like not November, I'm sorry, but September, right before October, they open like the second week of September, I think, or the third week.
Yeah.
So they open up right before October, and it's not very busy at that point, but it's to let people know spooky season's here.
Yeah.
But I got to start working there the last week of September. Had a blast. Absolutely loved it. It's all like hospital themed, so that way the mask wearing doesn't seem wrong.
Right.
And like even the people wearing like the big masks have regular masks underneath that they paint to make sure no one can see them.
Yeah. So it's like a safe environment on
It's
top
super
of it
safe
being
on
fitting
top
to
of it being
Gotcha.
a very fitting atmosphere, and it has really cool props and stuff that they use.
Yeah.
Like some things you wouldn't think would be a hospital themed haunted house.
Right.
But because they blend it so well, it's more like you just know you're in a haunted house and you don't really care that it's like supposed to be hospital themed. You just like a lot of these rooms have hospital themes to them, but maybe it's a mental ward or some shit because everyone's fucking bad shit.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. I love all the actors I get to work with. I actually got to meet my first dwarf working there, a person with dwarfism. Also commonly known as a midget, but that's seen as a bad word amongst them.
It's frowned upon.
It's frowned upon to use. They don't normally take offense to it, at least the ones that are chill. Like the guy I met, he's an actor, so he's really chill about it because he's like, most people meet me, and I'm their first impression of a dwarf.
Yeah.
So I have to be, their good impression of a dwarf, so they won't hate on us. Yeah. And that kind of made me realize that's kind of how every community works. If you're in a community, any community, a fandom, you're gay, bi, les, whatever, trans, whatever you want to be, if you're not positive about how you present yourself or make good impressions to people, a lot of times you're going to make a bad rep for your community, even if you didn't mean to.
Yep.
Like me calling all my family dumbasses probably doesn't paint a good light for the LGBT, but it was because, like, I know how my family
said
is.
some stupid shit.
They said some stupid shit. I wasn't trying to be mean, but...
Now, hold on. Members of the hardcore Dark Souls fandom, go back and listen to all of that again, because good God, you guys kind of suck sometimes.
Every fandom that includes video games, go back and re-listen to that. Undertale, I'm looking at you.
The only one I haven't seen like a
Skyrim, I've seen you guys. I've been a part of your fandoms.
an angry fandom is actually Minecraft.
Honestly, it's like one of the most chill I've met. And, like, some of the others, I get why they're angry. Because, like, if you're a brony or a Pegasister, you get a lot of bad rep because of cloppers. And a clopper is the technical term for someone who prefers to watch My Little Pony porn on the internet. But
Gross.
a brony and a Pegasister are people who just like the show and they're not being perverted about it. They like genuinely enjoy the show. Cloppers are the people who like the porn. And
Clopper is such a solid name for that,
well,
though.
because what do you think it sounds like when a horse?
I get it.
You know?
It's just funny because it's such a fitting name, and it also
It
just sounds
really
like someone
is.
who's kind of the worst.
It
It
really
sounds like British slang for someone who just sucks.
honestly though, that's how I felt about my community when it comes to like being a brony and shit. Was like, all right, I don't want to associate with the fandom because a lot of it is sex.
Yeah.
But that's because most of them are adults, and that's okay. You know, that's their own thing to do behind closed doors. I don't really care.
Yeah.
You want to look up what you want to look up, that's on you. I don't really care.
As long as it doesn't involve
long as it doesn't
anyone
involve-
under the age of 18.
As long as it doesn't involve, real people under the age. Because if it's an animated thing, it still doesn't bother me because it's not a real physical person. Well,
We could debate that,
but it's animated. It's not like it's like saying like if they put innuendo from an adult to a child in a kids show, you're not gonna be mad at it because it's a kids show and the kids aren't even gonna notice it. You know
I
what I
don't
mean?
think the similarity is there for me, but
It's
we can
not.
agree to
It's not
disagree on that.
100% the
Yeah.
same. So I know it's not going to be the same at all, and I know we're probably not going to agree on that. But that's okay because like that's what the show's about. It's kind of like, we're
That's
supposed to
not
just.
that specifically, but
Well, no, not that specific. But it's like we're just. It doesn't matter if we have the same opinions or not.
the show's about.
It's about. No, I'm just playing. Do not take that
We
out of
gotta
context.
censor that.
We
We,
gotta-
we literally cannot say that.
I know we
we
can.
we're probably already on a list, but we have to
honestly,
censor that.
we have to. That one.
We
last-
will be struck down.
Yeah,
by
that one.
Google.
That one's gonna be like people are like, what do they mean they had to censor that?
Future
You
me, censor
will
that
not
because
know.
I swear
Well,
to God.
see that audio spike? You know where it is. The
That's
little-
fair.
there,
Yeah.
there you go. You'll know.
I'll
where
have
it
to
is.
watch through the entire thing to make sure nothing bad happens.
You'll
in
see.
video
You'll
too.
see where it is though. It's all good.
We'll find it.
Yeah, it'll be fine. But anyway, that's my thing though. It's like you have to be the positive one in your community and be able to explain to people what about your fandom without getting mad at them for not knowing. Because a lot of what people hate is because they don't know. So if they're hating on it, it's because they don't have the knowledge to not hate on it.
Right.
And they think a lot of people will think they have all the knowledge, but really they might have some false information in there, and
Yeah.
a lot of them won't let go of the false information.
I have a solid example of this actually.
Okay.
I use one of these. I vape. I'm not huge into the vape culture or anything like that. I just like them because I don't like the smell of cigarettes, and I was trying to cut back on them. I was smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day. I can't remember the last time I bought a pack of cigarettes, but I was pretty drunk, and that was pretty much the only occasion. I've stopped smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day because of one of these. And I think people see that I have something like this, and they think like, "Oh, dude, trying to blow fat clouds, bro, West Coast, and all this shit." And it's just like, no, this is a smoking alternative, and I appreciate not smelling like tar and garbage when I go to sleep.
That's true. That's very true. I honestly think that like a lot of culture, like a lot of culture appropriation is just people not having the right information.
Yeah.
It has a lot to do with a lot of people pushing a wrong agenda on people for their own personal gain.
Right.
But what I really find really key interesting is if you try to educate people and they choose to be ignorant, what I have learned is if you attack back, you're seen as just as bad or worse than them, either in their eyes or by someone not knowing the situation. And I was like that whole family situation I told you about. My mother called me about that because she was like, "You're acting like someone I don't recognize." And I was like, "What do you mean?" So she explained how she saw my post. And I was like, "Well, that wasn't my intent at first. I just blew up because I got mad because they weren't seeing my points."
Right.
And it wasn't like I was, they're family. I know that they think they mean well, but the fact of the matter is they wouldn't listen to fact and reason, and I got sick of it, and I blew up. And that's the wrong thing to do. The right thing to do, ignore them.
Yeah.
It's hard. I have an impulsive behavior habit, and that's partly due to the fact that when I was a baby, my mom thought it was okay to leave me alone to cry because she said, and I quote, There is nothing that could get you to stop crying unless I left you alone. And I have read many articles proving that wrong, but I have to deal with the repercussions of what she decided anyway from back then because there wasn't a lot of research done back then. So while I do have impulsive behaviors and have a temper problem, I've controlled the temper problem. My impulsive behaviors, however, amplified because of that. And my impulsive behaviors mixed with anger usually cause me to say things I don't really want to say or mean on the internet, but not in person. Because on the internet, you feel safe.
Yeah. We have a mutual friend, and I won't say any names. You can gather this if you want.
I'm not even
going to say the name. You figure it out if you want. If not, doesn't matter. We have a mutual friend who gets very political on Facebook, which personally I'm not a big fan of. I keep my political opinions and stuff to myself. And I think that's, in my opinion, the right way to go because I don't want to get into those conversations because they tend to get hurtful before they get productive. But this friend that we have, he will argue his case in the most logical and, like, I don't want to say open-minded, but he's like, let's take a step back and we'll talk about these, 3 or 4 or 5 reasons why I believe that things should be this way in politics rather than the other way. And he'll say all these things, and then at the very end of his very logical and, just calm sentiment, he'll say something like, and if you disagree with me, you can fucking die in a hole. And I'm like...
I can't disagree with him on that, but I think I know who you're talking about. Mm-hmm. But a lot of... okay, hold on. I'm going to, Okay, I do know who we're talking about. Yeah. And on my post, however, he used to do that. Mm-hmm. But he's seen a lot of the same people that I had to deal with on my page from my comments all the time. So he's dealt with a lot of my people all the time, and he knows whenever I've tried to be the logical one, he'll come in and be the absolute destroyer of, he'll just come in and be like, all right, no. And then he'll lay down all the things I couldn't put into words as properly very well and then call them fucking morons. Yeah. And I love it. I love it personally, but only because the people he's usually talking to about this stuff are actually being ignorant to the fact that they're just, my way is right only. I won't even acknowledge your points. And whereas I'm like, I see your points. I know what you're saying, but I have facts and other things that say this isn't right. So you shouldn't believe this.
And that's why I don't get into those arguments in the first place, is because people, no, you're not going to win any argument. It's all just people continuing to argue because no one's open-minded about, at least hearing or considering other people's opinions. And the issue that I have with him, I hate it because a lot of the things that he says,
he's got a very, very good, head on his shoulders about life.
Right. And a lot of the things that he says is, mostly things that I agree with. Mm-hmm. But then he gets to that point where he's just being insulting at the very end. And I told him on a handful of occasions, I'm like, dude, you're not going to win anybody's favor or anybody's, mindset. No one's going to be more open to what you're saying if you're insulting them at the very end of what you're saying. Just leave out the insults and just say the things that you have on your mind. It might go a little bit better than, just saying, well, you're a fucking idiot at the end of your fucking 5-paragraph thing about politics.
Right.
I don't know, man.
I don't know, because it's kind of a touchy situation on that because, I understand from my point of view of being sick of people just not wanting to listen at all. So you're like, here's the facts, here's the proof, here's the evidence. I have links to prove it, which you have given me none. Yeah. And you still want to call me wrong and call me a liar. Fuck you, you're an idiot. And that's where I get it, because he's probably dealt with a lot more than that because he's been on the platform advocating a lot more than I have and using more research tools and things like that than I have, indeed. But it's not the fact that he had more knowledge. It was just he knew how to word it better. Because I would have the same knowledge, I just wouldn't know how to word it, and then he would word it. Or if I didn't know knowledge, he would come on my post, educate me, be like, hey, this thing, I agree on the idea, this is what it actually means. Right. In terms of what this is or what this is. And then I would be educated and I would leave his, my post up even though it wasn't fully accurate because his comment was educational. Now, when it came to debating people, then he would insult them. But when it came to people he knew were open-minded, he's very respectful. Mm-hmm. And that's what I liked, was he knew what people deserved respect and what people he deemed didn't deserve respect. I agreed with on some points.
Yeah.
Now, I've shown my ass many a times on the internet. But I will say one of the biggest, and I mean absolute funniest things I've ever seen was watching my dad and my uncle argue the exact same point from two different points of view, mm-hmm. and thinking that they're trying to argue each other on different points. But they're arguing the same point, but because their ideals are slightly different on how to get there, they assumed that the other didn't agree with them.
Yep.
And guess what? 3 hours of them arguing, they finally figured it out. 3 hours of them going back and forth. I literally, kid you not, they were like, oh, wait, you agree with me?
That's the spookiest thing I've heard in a while.
Like,
thanks for listening to the Halloween Take It Tuesday. We got a couple more minutes.
I'm about to say, we got a lot more. Oh, you know what? We should end this one with some spooky stories.
I've got.
You got a spooky story from your past?
I wouldn't call it a spooky story. I think I talked about this on our main show, Cheerless Tuesdays. This is not a spooky story. It's just a Halloween story. Are they louder than usual outside of this room?
I hear them, but I don't think they're loud enough to be caught in our audio.
I walked out of the room and down to the basement to grab something, our light, actually. And as I walked back up, I hooked up our little recording sign that we bought, and I just left it there. And I feel like because I plugged that in there, just being purposefully a little bit more louder and bashful than usual. I'm like, guys, but I turned the light on. You can't do that, guys.
That means
what are you doing?
Time.
Yeah, read a book or something. You fucking nerd.
Watch Markiplier. God.
He's not very loud. That would be a fair example.
Yeah, especially if you watch his World's Quietest Let's Plays.
And then conversely, if I unplug the recording light, they can go back to listening to Jacksepticeye.
Mm-hmm. Top of the morning, T-Lotties! That kind of thing. Anyway, what were you going to say for your scary story?
Oh, yeah.
Your spooky Halloween tale.
I grew out of trick-or-treating pretty quick.
Okay.
So I also have this horrible thing where from the age of 10 to 22, I'll say, I was sick for both Halloween and Christmas just about every fucking year.
Really?
It was a horrible curse. It caused so many problems with my family because we would go and visit our extended family up north in West Virginia, and then I would get sick, and then we wouldn't be able to fly home.
Oh,
because I was throwing up, and they're just I felt horrible, and I was like, I'm so sorry this is happening, and obviously they were like, don't be sorry, you're fucking throwing. What is on my hand?
I don't know. You'd be sick and throwing up and all that kind of Oh! I told you not to wipe your hand on my stickers. Told you it was cheaply made.
I didn't even realize my hand was there.
Yeah, I didn't either until I saw that on your hand.
At what point was my... Oh, probably from my drink.
Yeah.
All right, so I was sick for Halloween and Christmas a lot. And, that kind of it didn't ruin the holidays for me or anything like that. It was just kind of usually when this happens, I get sick, and then I'm not usually doing a lot. One year when I was I'll say 14, I wasn't sick for Halloween. So I put on an older Halloween costume that I'd bought before I realized I didn't get to go trick-or-treating because I was sick. And I put it on. It was like a ghost face, scream kind of shit. And I took my dad's golf cart, and I turned the headlights on, and I'd just drive around. And when I saw people in cool enough costumes, I'd let them ride to the next house on my golf cart. And I did that one time, and I pulled up to a house with a buddy of mine on the side. In the side seat of the... I'm sorry. He was in the side seat of my golf cart, and I drove him up to the next house. And the people were not in the house. They were in their driveway. It was a suburban shit. and they had a little like fire pit in front of them, and whenever kids came up, they would just hand out candy from their driveway so that people wouldn't have to go up to their doorbell and ring it and constantly piss off their pets, I assume. Yeah, they saw me drive up with the golf cart, and they just proceeded to insult the living shit out of me for driving the golf cart around. They're like, that's a pretty like fat person kind of move of you to just be driving the golf cart around. And in all fairness, I wasn't driving around in trick or treating. I was just driving around, and when I saw people, I'd be like, "Yo, you want to lift to the next place, or to anywhere house specific? You know, you want to go back home or whatever." I was just doing that because clearly I wasn't gonna be drinking. I was like 14, and you know, it's sometimes a long walk to get from one side of that subdivision to the other.
Right.
I was just doing shit like that, but these dudes just like roasted the living shit out of me for like a solid minute and a half. Like, I never got a word in as they were saying all this shit. They're like, it's pretty American of you to just be driving a golf cart around trying to pick up candy from strangers. And, you know, it's just all this shit. And I was getting really annoyed. And also, I was 14, so I was just pissed off at everybody anyway. But I remember, like, once they finally, like, quit fucking talking, I was like, I'm not asking you for candy. Like, I'm just driving people around so that they don't risk getting hit by cars and shit. And then they stopped, and they, like, looked at each other for a second. They're like, yo, do you want like a Snickers or something? I was like, that's what I fucking thought, you pricks.
Bruh, like, my true intent all along was to be nice and wholesome, and you just roasted
like,
me.
You fat ass motherfucker. Like,
you fat ass lazy motherfucker.
Yeah, and I was just getting insulted for like a solid, like, it wasn't that long. It was probably like 20 seconds, but it felt like hours of my life wasted by these fucking rednecks.
Wasted by rednecks just ripping into your ass.
Yeah. And I was just like, listen, man, like, people are driving drunk around here, I'm sure, and like there's a bunch of kids walking around by themselves. I just want to make sure that everyone can get from where they need to be safely.
Right.
And when I said all that, they literally were just like, you want like a Kit Kat or something, man? Like, yeah. They never said they were sorry, but they were just like,
hey, man,
you can have a piece of candy if you want to. Do you seem all right?
If you want, man.
Yeah.
My bad.
Also, last year I went trick-or-treating with my girlfriend, and she has a brother who at the time was, I think, 3.
Okay.
Bit of an age difference between her and her brother. Mm-hmm.
Quite
so,
a bit.
so he was dressed up as, fucking, I think he was like a dump truck or something like that. Like, he was a literal...
Something adorable.
Yeah, just like, he's just cute as shit. And we were just going around my girlfriend's neighborhood, which is fucking massive, I didn't realize. And there was a house that we came up to, and, they had, like, the glass jars with, like, spider puppets, and, like, shit that moved around inside of glass jars, and they had eyeballs that would look around and shit like that, and cool as hell. I love it.
I bet that sounds really cool.
Awesome. And they were kind of doing the same thing where they were just in their driveway so that people wouldn't go up to their doorbell. And like I said, I'm assuming that's because they don't want their pets to get pissed off.
Probably.
But yeah, me and my girlfriend walked up with her little brother. And they were like, oh, hey, cute costume, what are you? And they talked with him for, a little while, which was really sweet, and they gave him candy. And then they looked up at me and her, and they're like, how old are you guys? We're like 23 at the time, and she's 22, and they're like, you want some Jell-O shots? I was like, yeah. Yes! Yeah, like, what the fuck? Hell yeah. And they pulled out a little cooler with fucking Jell-O shot containers. I was like...
they were looking out for the adults having to deal with all this shit. They're like, yo, we made some Jell-O shots. You want one?
No, they weren't even, like, sneaky about it. They're just like, you want to get fucked up? So I was like, yeah. Yeah.
Dealing with a 3-year-old all day? Yes, please.
Yes, please.
So, on the terms of spooky stories.
Yeah, go for it.
This one, it might feel a little long, so we might go a little over time on this one.
That's fine.
But this is an actual spooky story. I am a very firm believer in ghosts, have been since I was a kid. And I was very justified when I first moved here to Georgia. Mm-hmm. Now, in my family, we are, as I would call, empaths. Most of us can feel out emotions of other people and things like that, so we can sense if something's off or if something's extra there. Mm-hmm. Well, we first moved here to Georgia. Our house felt a little off.
Okay.
I lived off of a highway in a neighborhood, in a cul-de-sac, in a normal-ass neighborhood. The house was relatively new. No one had died in it or anything. So the fact that it was kind of weird feeling was weird as fuck. Mm-hmm. But about a few months into living in this place, it was me and my brother. We were living in the basement, which also happened to have the laundry room.
Yeah.
So we were in the basement area all the time in this room. And one night, it was over the summer, I had light insomnia. I couldn't sleep all the time, and I didn't know why, but I would just not feel tired. So I would do other things. So our laundry room would be backed up with laundry because we had a lot of people in our house.
Yeah.
So I would take some nights where I couldn't sleep, and I'd just do laundry all night while watching videos, playing video games, or being on a laptop or something, just chilling.
Right.
Well, this particular night, I was doing laundry. It was pitch black in my room. My brother was sleeping. I wasn't disturbing him. I was on my laptop for most of the night, and I decided to go into the laundry room area, which had no door. It was just straight in there, a little poorly built little side room. But I walk into the laundry room, and my dryer. Now, prior to all of what I'm about to say, me and my brother had a old school camera with one tape that we recorded over. Only once. Like, we got the tape, it had something on it, but we only recorded over it once. And that's important because if you record over a tape multiple times, it'll ruin the tape.
Right.
But we never recorded on it before, except for this time, because we had, felt like our house was haunted. And we knew it was in the laundry room because the dryer would open itself. And it wasn't like, we put something heavy and it bumped against it and opened the dryer. Like, it would slightly open. Like someone came in there and stopped it on purpose.
Yeah.
But we were the only ones that did laundry down there.
Okay.
So it was kind of like, well, did you open it? No, I didn't open it. Well, the clothes are still wet, so we got to dry them anyway. So we just close it and re-dry it.
Yeah.
Well, we set up a camera in there, and my brother had caught footage of a black hand coming out from behind the wall and going back. And he reviewed it before I woke up. Problem was, when I woke up to review the footage, that chunk of video was completely messed up. Like, static all the way through, and then was fine afterwards. Just the chunk where he said it was gone. Everything else was normal.
Yeah.
So that gave me, the idea that something was fucking around in there.
Yeah.
But this particular night, I had forgotten all about those incidents. I was just like, man, it kind of feels eerie. Maybe it's just because most of the lights are off. It's just the laundry room light on.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just feeling weird. It's going to be fine. Whatever. I walk into my laundry room, and I pull all the clothes out the dryer like nothing's wrong. I put the clothes from the washer in the dryer, throw the dryer sheet in, do the normal thing with laundry, and then I turn around, and I walk out of the laundry room. I'm a few feet into my room, and I feel like someone just stabbed right in the middle of my back. Like pure heated pain. Like pure heated pain. Not just like a sharp jab, but like heat involved with it. And it started at one point in the middle of my back and spread like a fire. And I couldn't move. I was petrified, fearful. I was so scared. I couldn't breathe. I was shaking. I didn't know what to do. And all I could think of is I'm about to be possessed if I don't do some shit. Right. So I start walking to my brother's side of the room to try and wake him up. His dog's on the bed, notices me approaching, but instead of wagging his tail at me, he gets aggressive. And I don't mean like just barking mildly. I mean, he means business, like he's about to cut my throat. Yeah. And he's like growling, snarling at me. And I'm just looking at my dog as he's like looking at me like an enemy. And I'm like, and I whimpered out like his name. And I was like, Zeus. And then like my dog like just came at me. But as soon as he came at me, the feeling completely vanished. And he was fine. Like he stopped trying to be aggressive and was like checking on me and making sure I was okay, wagging his tail and like sniffing and licking me. And I was freaked out. I refused to sleep the rest of that night at all. And I walked upstairs. I went and woke my sister up because she has this sixth sense kind of thing. I woke her up and I was freaking out, and I like calmed myself down enough to tell her the story. I was like, can I just stay in here for a little while? I don't want to go back. I just cannot do that right now. Right. And it was just absolutely the worst feeling in my life. And if anything relatively like bad would have happened like anytime and I knew it wasn't because of me, that spot in my back would burn. Like it was still attached. And it stayed with me for a good 5 or 6 years. And I never got rid of that burn. But if I feel like something bad's about to happen, that thing will still burn. It's not as bad anymore. I feel like I've gotten rid of the thing that actually was attached to me, but now I still have the resin of like whatever the fuck he did to me.
Yeah.
But I found out a lot later, I did more research and found out that in my house, we had 2 spirits that followed my sister because she could see dead people. There was a little girl who portrayed herself as only having teeth for a face, which if you've seen Cabin in the Woods, it was before that movie came out, so my sister didn't steal it. And then there was, of course, the Shadow, as my sister called him. It was the dark, looming mass that couldn't be upstairs because of my mom and my sister protecting it. But downstairs, we didn't have that much luck. And because I was more sensitive than my brother, it targeted me. But that was honestly like the scariest. It was the scariest I've ever felt in my entire life.
You know what I think that means? It means you need to wake up, Clyde.
What?
Wake up, Clyde.
What?
Clyde, wake up.
What do you mean?
Wake up.
What do you mean?
Clyde, wake up.
What?
Wake up.
What do you... Me?